This is the Dirshu Mishnah Berurah as we continue the halachos of Shinuy Makom within the parameters of Dvarim Hanagim Seudah Siman Kufayin Ches. We're in the middle of the Rema and Sif Beis, in which in the beginning of the Siman we have learned that this Rema is going to be the halacha l'maisa. We began the Rema yesterday, and today we continue. Says the Rema, Miu, however, if one is a misiach das, when he returns, he certainly needs a new bracha, that which he wants to eat now. Right away comments the Mishnah Berurah Avadei Tzarech Levarich Bracha Rishayna Kedin Ezech Hadas, and then Vachivarech Berachas Hamazoin Al Hakol. Says the Rama, Vein Chalik Bin Chazal Makom Shachal Kvar Ubein Siyam Seudah B'Makom Acher. It doesn't make a difference if he comes back or if he finishes his meal in a different place. Says the Mishnah Berurah, what does that mean? Ein chalek vein sefkat lamed alf ale el kai. Says going on the above. V'hainu ba'eichal dvarim atunim bracha b'mekaymain. We're discussing items that require a bracha in their place. And he did not leave people behind. Again, he didn't leave anyone behind in the meal. You do not need a new bracha while that's you're eating because of your first meal. If you're eating items that do not require the bracha back in their place, for example, drinks. It's not going to help. Then will only help to go back to the original Seudah. You're going to need a new bracha wherever you are eating. So if you're eating v'zaynais hamaitzi, then you contain ein tzarech levarich, because it's considered like your original meal continued and you don't need a new bracha. You will need a new bracha. And we said this is whether you return back to the place you're eating, ubein siyam seudah b'makom acher, sefkatalam ubein siyam seudasai, emachal gam shambas, if you eat their bread. Mevurus, if dalad mevar sham berachas hamazlik, if the shamu siyam seudasai, if you eat bread there, that is the completion of your meal. But continues the Rama, he teaches us, this is the minhag, as we already saw back in the Mishnah Berurah at the beginning of in the Akdama, that the Mishnah Berurah taught us that what we see in Siman and Sif Beis, it's not going to be the full halacha. Rather, it's going to be like the Rama is teaching us this that shakal eitz adama is when one will lose his bracha due to the Shinuy Makom, but hamoitis you will not, and you will never need to make a bracha achrayna first, rather just a new bracha rishayna. We call makom lechatchila lo yakrim mekaymai beloy bracha lechatchila. You should never leave your place. Meaning, even though we just finished saying them as in hamaitzi, you're not going to lose the bracha. So says Mishnah Berurah lechatchila. You never want to be aiker mekaymai. Why? Techayshina and shamyishem lachsav lach. You may forget. However, l'tzach mitzvah iveres. Kigoyin shenech zman tefila. You can miss zman tefila mutter of ayin sim kuf pedal. So says the Mishnah Berurah over here, what is the lechatchila? The lechatchila is that again, even though if you move places, your mezainis hamaitzi continues. It's not lechatchila. Lechatchila lo yakir mim kaimai. Says Mishnah Berurah, Sivkat Lam Gimel lechatchila lo yakir mim kaimai ratzalaymar av sha'oimid b'emsa Seudah pas. You're in the middle of a bread meal. You want to go out and you're going to come back. You should not do it. Why? So according to this opinion, you do not need a bracha when you leave. Still, even though according to the Rama, you don't need a bracha achrayna when you leave, nor you can need a new bracha rishayna when you continue your mezainis hamaitzi. Still, lechatchila, one should not do that. Why not? We're worried you're not going to come back and continue eating. Important line in the Mishnah Berurah. You might wait long enough that you're going to get hungry again. And then by doing such, you're going to lose your benching. So inviting you to another place, you're not worried now, you're not going to eat because you're going to eat. And you're going to bench over there. Still, you should not do that. Only if you went, do we allow you to continue? But one should not do that. Because that is your place. Lechatchila mitzvah asai levarech b'mkaimei she'achal kaidim sheyetzei. Lechatchila should make a bracha on that which you ate before you leave. Im loisha yedai type. It says the Mishnah Berurah, and many are wondering right now why. But there are scenarios one wants to go from place A to B. Im loy, says the Mishnah Berurah, sheyedai type b'shas ha'amaiti lechol gam shah. If you had das during the Hamaisi to eat there, then you're allowed to lechatchila. Das chashiv shteim mekoymo mutar av lechatchila. Filu bayis labayis v'ani machshavt l'dezu. Even bayis to bayis machshava. Kabbanah's going to work. Cheno hagiu shaholchem l'sudas nesuin shemacham etchil lechol sham. The minhag used to be they would eat in their houses and they would finish at the sudas nesuin. Says Mishnah Berurah, that's what we do. You have in mind B'shas the bracha, and then you're allowed to go there. Mime koimai, sivkatan lamed daled, lechatchil yishnabi ma'ikir your place. Taisus in the Rosh says the Mishnah Berurah, mashma dein la'achmer b'zerak sheyotza manas lahaflik. You only have to be machmir if you're going out for a long time. Dos chashin la'analef sheyotza manas la'alter. Say Taisus and the Rosh, then it is not a problem. B'loi bracha, sivkatan lamed hey. Ayim echlush every kiva eger mashikasu b'zeh. One should not go for a long time. In the Be'er Allah, Mishnah Berurah explains that one should not go out for no reason. If he does, not like the Rema said. Meaning, the lechatchila is not to go. But if one is going and he's going to eat in a certain place, then he does not have to make a bracha achrayna before he goes. Whether he's going to eat there, he's going to come back. The chashav coming from Seudah, the chashav the bracha in the tzricha. Mishnah Berurah is worried that if you make a bracha achrayna, it's going to be chashav bracha in the tzricha. Rak. If you think, you say, you know what, I might end up staying there. I might end up being maflig and hanging out outside for a long time. Then nachan yaiser. Then in that case, it is more proper. You should make a bracha when you leave. And what's the reason for all this? Because we're worried. Bracha achrayna. And that is all the halacha l'maisa, how careful one has to be not to leave, and if he's going to leave, to have das, and to continue eating over there. So we go to the Dirshu right now. So it's the Dirshu, note number 23. Going on to l'chatchila, one should not leave. What's the reason? We're afraid you're not going to come back. Or you're going to wait a long time and lose your bracha, your benching. Says the Dirshu, quoting Rav Sheinberg, chashas you might forget. Mistaver, it works to have a shomer. Now you let have an alarm clock. It's better. You should write on the alarm what it's for. So we can definitely apply this halacha l'maisa. Someone is in the middle of a meal and he wants to leave. You put an alarm in your phone and you write, continue eating. You write, I'm in the middle of a meal. You write something. Says Rav Sheinberg, that will work. Erev Pesach shechal b'Shabbos. That those who have the minhag to eat bread in one room and everything else they eat in another room because it's Pesach. And afterwards they go back to the original room to bench. Says the Minchas Yitzchak, that's allowed. Why? It's a mitzvah. And furthermore, we're not afraid you're not going to bench. We're not afraid that you're going to lose your bracha. Why? Because anyways, in Erev Pesach, you want to eat quickly as it is Erev Pesach. Continues the Dirshu in note number 24 that you're allowed to go from place A to place B. Why? Because that is your place. The mitzvah is levarach b'mekayim she'achal kodim sheyetzeh. The Bir Adavar says the Graz, the Ben Ish Chai, and the Ben Ish Chai, something that requires a bracha b'mekayim is enis and a moitzi. Just like it helps the chashivos So too it helps its chashivas to require bracha before you leave the place. Comes on Ramesha Feinstein and he explains further. Things that require bracha they're eating achili ba'oifin shel kaviyas v'kula achila achasi. Meaning, the same reason why mezainis and amoitzi has an element of kula, that if you go from place A to place B, you do not lose your bracha, because you're supposed to come back and bench, because the meal did not end. For that same reason, one should be more cognizant to not do that. That's all kaviyas, that is one achila, and therefore, the bracha is considered one thing with the achila. The Torah says you should finish your eating and then you should bench. Makam acher, the bracha does not seem at the same level connected. Whereas on the other hand, on shakal and on eitz adama, every bite is its own achila, and therefore it's not shaykh to consider it a bracha on the gemara achila. Why? Kimja achila, because the eating finishes with each bite. That's what Moshe explains. Rav Sheinberg comes along and he adds on, in the place of Aidah, you're more margish in the place that you ate. And therefore, it's more important, the best is to bench the place that you ate before you leave. Unless, we said, and Dirshu 25 comments, if you had das, b'shas the bracha, shas the hamaitzi, you're going to go there. Why does this work? Only for pas and not for shakelet adama. Says Rav Sheinberg, by peiros, every achila, as we just said, is its own achila, its own kaviyas, and therefore it's not going to help to combine the two areas. Masha'inki, when it comes to pas, the kaviyas is not a bottle entirely, therefore you can move it. We will point out that we're going to see there is an entity called the moving bracha. From here it would sound like you never can take your bracha to go. But we'll see that there is an entity of a moving bracha. There is such a thing that one could have his coffee on the go. It's machlik zabaiskim, but Amir Tashem will get there. Said the Mishnah number 26. By Seudah soon they did this. One's going to the Rema, middle of the Seudah Shabbos. Says the Shevet Alevi, you don't make a ancient lavar brachot before you go. Why? Because your old das is to continue your meal there and make the bracha achreina there. Tois the Rosh says not to be machmer unless you're going to be mafleg. What is la alter? Says Rav Sheinberg, mamish miyad. You're going to come back right away. And b'siyata d'shmaya. We will continue with Sif Gimel in the next Shir.